After its first small wins, the team decides their coding agent is ready for something real. The issue they write has four words again: modernize the payments module. And this time the words are not careless, they are proud. Nobody defines modernize and nobody writes down what done looks like because the agent's clever and it'll figure it out. The agent is clever and it does. It works for 3 days uninterrupted, exactly as autonomous as everyone hoped. On day 3, it opens one pull request, 4,000 change lines across 60 files, and the work inside it is genuinely modern. The diff is honest work and it lands on the team like a delivery truck backing into a bike lane. Nobody can review 4,000 lines, not honestly, so nobody does. The 3 reviewers each open it once, scroll for a minute, and quietly promise themselves a proper look on a quieter day. Quieter days never come, and the diff just sits there waiting for one. The pull request waits, the code base moves underneath it, and every passing day adds conflicts to a diff already too heavy to lift. 3 weeks later, someone closes it politely unmerged. Here is the ending. Said plainly, the agent did everything it was asked, and nothing it produced ever shipped. Freeze it there because the exam's first domain starts exactly here. Which steps of the lifecycle should be agent work at all? Here is the form it will hand you. A team is choosing its coding agent's next task. Which choice sets the agent up to succeed? Assign the payments module modernization because the agent has proven it can handle real work. Let the agent scan the backlog and pick its own tasks since it knows its capabilities best. Assign one flaky test with criteria written down. The assertion stays, the suite passes on repeat, the diff stays small. Or assign any task with a person watching and approving every keystroke as the agent works. One of these you just watched fail and another one failed back in episode 1 wearing different words. That question parks in the corner while you learn what the exam's first domain actually tests: placement. This is moment 1 of the workday before the agent runs, and it's where somebody decides what's agent work and what isn't. We'll get there in 3 stops, starting with the shape of good agent work and ending with the contract nobody wrote for the payments module. The same team, the same repository, and a second chance they're about to spend well or badly. The exam guide's verb is identify steps for agents to perform, and the identifying is a judgment about shape, never about size or glamour. Good agent work has a bounded input, which means you can name the files or the failure without waving your hand. And it has a checkable output, a way to know it worked that doesn't depend on anyone's mood. A dependency bump is a good example, and so is one failing test, because the codebase itself can tell you whether the work is done. And the guide says steps plural, because the shape shows up all along the lifecycle from triaging an issue to keeping the docs honest. It's the same 2 questions wherever the step sits. Can you name what goes in and can something check what comes out? What stays with people is the work with no finish line. Things like product taste or an architecture bet that trades one future for another. Notice the tell. A well-shaped agent task usually looks boring, and boring is a compliment here. Now the uncomfortable arithmetic of the cold open. A diff nobody can review is work nobody can accept. So the unit of agent work is the reviewable change. 10 small merged pull requests beat one heroic orphan every single time because merged is the only column that counts. Autonomy that outruns your ability to check it turns velocity into inventory, work that is finished and never accepted. The guide asks you to identify and mitigate common anti-patterns, so name the 3 that sank the payments week. The moonshot is the task too big to review, and you mitigate it by cutting scope until the output is one reviewable change. The vague done is a brief with no finish line, words like modernize or clean up, and you mitigate it by refusing work that can't say when it's over. And the silent marathon is days of work with no checkpoint, so you make the agent show you something reviewable early and often. 3 days of silence looked like productivity, and by the time anyone knew better, the whole cost was already spent. The cheapest checkpoint has a name, the plan, surfaced before the hands move, and that idea gets the whole next episode. Every anti pattern on the exam is one of these: wearing a costume too big, no finish line, or too long unseen. The third stop is the guide's own trio: define inputs, outputs, and success criteria, which is just a contract written before the work. Input is what the agent gets handed, and for our flaky test, that's the file it lives in and its last 10 runs, all named out loud. Implied inputs are how agents wonder. Whatever you leave to be guessed gets re-guessed on every run and rarely the same way twice. Output is the shape of what comes back. One pull request, small enough to review in one sitting. Success criteria are how done gets checked, and the word that matters is checked, not felt. For our flaky test, that means the assertion stays, the suite passes on repeat, and the diff stays small enough to hold in one look. Now, replay episode 1's Friday against this card. The whole brief was make the test pass, no criteria, so the agent found the cheapest done. A contract is how you say, make the test, pass, and mean it. The same 4 words plus the finish line that keeps them honest. Write it in the issue itself, where the agent reads it and the team can audit it, the brief and the work in one place. The part question back at full size, and you can now grade all 4 choices by shape. Option A, the payments modernization, is the cold open again because it's a moonshot with a wake done 2 traps in one sentence. Option B, let it pick from the backlog. Sounds like initiative, but it hands off the one verb the guide left to the humans, identify the steps. Choosing what's agent work is a placement decision the team owns, because an agent optimizing for what it can do will happily pick another moonshot. The guide sentence has a subject doing the identifying, and it isn't the agent. Option D, the person on every keystroke buys safety at the price of the whole point. Episode 1 gave the rule size the gate to the risk, and gating every keystroke of a small bounded task is the handbrake dressed as diligence. Which leaves option C, the flaky test with the contract, bounded input, one small output, done defined mechanically. Read it once more because it's episode 1's exact task. The words that once shipped a deleted assertion, now wearing a finish line. Same task both times, and the brief is what changed. Small enough to review before the coffee cools, checkable without a meeting. The first merged link in a chain of trust. Shape first, traps named, contract written, that's the whole first move of the workday. Nothing to memorize. One question to ask of every task: can this work come back as a change we can actually review? Here is what you carry out of the first move. Agent work is picked by shape, a bounded input and a checkable output, so boring is the tell of a good first task. A diff nobody can review is work nobody can accept, so the unit of agent work is the reviewable change. The contract is inputs, outputs, and a done that machines can check, written before the run. In the issue the agent reads. Next episode, the agent starts working and we stop it mid-air because the plan gets separated from the act and checked before any hands move.